Okay, hello everybody, welcome to a new video. This time we'll be going over the changes of Operation Brutal Swarm, which is the latest update to Siege. It was released about 2 weeks ago, but since I was dealing with some personal stuff, I wasn't able to make videos for the past 3 months, and I'm sorry about that. But I'm very much back, and let's head into it. So the first new thing is of course the new operator, which is Grim. And from what I remember, he was initially leaked as a defender, but it turns out he's an attacker, so that also shows how much can change during the development time. His primary weapon is a 5.52 and the French GIGN shotgun. The secondary pistol they chose the P229, which, if I remember correctly, is a pistol that Goyo has, and Echo, and Hibana, but I'm not sure. Gadgets are breaching charges and claymores, and he's also a free speed 1 health. His gadget, which I'll show right now on the screen, is a launcher that shoots a canister that, as you can see, it deploys a swarm of those mechanical bees, and if you're in that, well, cloud, if I think I can call it like that, of bees, then your position is getting revealed live. There's no like delays between the pings, it's literally your live location. And so it's going to be a bit useful for clearing out the positions mainly. So for example, I think one of the scenarios in which this can be used is to have one attacker on the outside, for example, on the border, on the outside of ventilation window, have Graham just shoot the canister behind the half wall, and the person behind the ventilation window is just waiting with a grenade cooking in their hands. As soon as they get a location, they just throw the nade. Especially that the nades have been nerfed this season, but we'll touch onto that in a second. Another new thing is the EMP impact grenade, and it's something interesting. They tried to make it so that Thatcher is not that not banned that much, because I think I'll show a screen here in a sec. He is getting banned in like almost, if not over 80% of the games, which is a lot. There is a very, very low chance that you'll play him in ranked, so that they tried to bring those EMP impacts so that people ban Thatcher less and actually try to use them, but well, for now this hasn't worked. I've played by far 20 games, I think, this season, and on like Plat 1, Diamond 3 level, it's not... Thatcher is still banned a lot, so... But the impact grenades do become useful. It's not like they're completely useless, they are useful. We have used them to execute a lot of strategies, and it actually worked. It's just a bit more complicated because you have to find the exact spot where the, for example, Kate Claw or Bandit Chargers or Mute Jammer is, because this impact grenade has a very, very short range, but if it was, of course, big range, then that would be definitely overpowered. So I think the gadget as it is, it could have slightly bigger range, but I think besides that, it's really, really, really well optimized. And it has been added for Blackbeard, Montaigne, Dokkaebi, Nook, Gridlock, Sledge, Lion, and Osa. So a lot of support operators actually here. Osa, Lion, Gridlock, Dokkaebi. So like 1, 2, 3, 4 operators that are mainly like support. Then you have, of course, Sledge, Nock, and Blackbeard, which are more like frag type of operators. And then, oh yeah, also Monty can be used, can be described as support. So like 5 support and 3 frag operators got those. Another big change is the new recall system, and actually the fact that they split the recall between console and PC. So whatever changes are made to the PC, they're no longer the same on the console, which might be a good thing, as well, controller and keyboard are very different in recoil control. So now the devs will be able to, how to say that, balance it a bit better. So that's one very good change. Vertical recoil has been reviewed and adjusted to match the weapon's expected power level. So a lot of guns got mostly a vertical recoil now, rather than horizontal, which in my opinion is a very good thing, because it was annoying to have to like swipe the mouse left and right in order to keep it straight. Vertical and horizontal recoil intensity increases during sustained fire bursts, and so the longer the burst, the stronger the recoil. That's also another thing, yes, like suddenly you can't just go and do a 40 round spray. Or, for example, on the MX4, I believe. Yeah, MX4, you can do like a 25-ish round burst, after which the gun becomes completely uncontrollable. So that's another thing which happens. But in order to counter that, you just need to release for a small second at the 23rd, 24th bullet in order to reset the recoil, and you can keep on spraying. Limits on weapons with strong recoil have mostly stayed the same. I think that's true. I didn't really feel it that much, but for example, some guns with those new recoil changes actually came back to life. For example, Ash R4C is much better to control, as you can see from this clip that I did during one of the ranked games. It's just a straight up laser, while before this update you had to really have good gun control in order to keep it up straight, and it was still like a bit unstable. Same goes for the Zophia's gun, which is the M762. I don't unfortunately have a clip to show you how it looks like now, but it's something definitely better. And LMGs and weapons with high capacity magazines now have a fourth stage of recoil that's harder to control. Actually, as you can see here, I'm showing you a explanation made by the developers how the new recoil will look like, assault and SMG rifles compared to LMGs, and it's much harder to control the LMGs now, as for example, around on the Finkas LMG, which was really strong. Now it has a very high kick at the beginning, and then it keeps increasing the vertical recoil up until the 40th bullet, where the 40th bullet just suddenly goes to the side, and it's really hard to control. So it's something they wanted to tackle the LMG meta, which was for the past 3 seasons. And I think they've done a really good job, because I haven't seen people playing the LMGs at all this season. So it's something that, well, they took a very hard, straight-on approach onto that, but at least there is no more of those annoying just walk into the side and hold left mouse button players. So that's definitely a change for the better. Another thing is that they increased the reputation penalty, where you can be muted from the very beginning for the abuse of text chat offense, as well as you can finally report cheaters in match replay. So if you're not sure if the player was cheating, you can just go onto the match replay, look at the whole match from their perspective, and then decide for yourself if you think that person was cheating or not, and report them for that match replay. Will it work? Not so sure about that. Cheating is still a very, very big problem in Siege, and it's not a easy one to fix, as it is a very complicated issue. Another new thing is that this season we were supposed to get a completely new map, which was going to be based on the current lore narrative that the Siege art director decided to go with. And instead, since it had to be pushed back in order to make it as polished as possible, the new map has been pushed back to Season 4. And this season, in order to fill the gap, we got the previous stadium map. It's okay. It's the idea behind this map is pretty interesting because, as with the Stadium 2020 map, I think the first map was half Oregon and half something else. I can't remember what was the other half. While this map is half border, half coastline, so literally in the middle, and it's also color coded. Literally, the map is split in the middle, and a completely different map starts. It's a interesting take into map making, just merging two maps together and making a completely, well, maybe not completely, but a new map. It's something at first because you feel that is something that is very similar to you because you already know those maps, but the way you attack them is a bit different because certain spots that you would use in order to attack, for example, Armory, which is the border part, are not there because suddenly there is the coastline part. So it's something interesting. That's for sure. But as they mention it here in the article, they also changed its name to Stadium Bravo. I have no clue why they would change it, but well, that's okay. Another thing they did is that you can find the fifth. Sorry. Another thing that they added is that you can gift battle passes to your friends. It's an okay option. It wasn't really what a lot of people asked for, but it's definitely a nice option. Another thing is that they changed the map ban changes. I am personally not a fan of this, that they increased the number of maps in the map ban phase to 5 from 3. It definitely served its purpose, which they were trying to do, which was to increase, how to say that, increase how often certain maps are played, because before the 5 map ban change, you had 3 map bans. Each team could have had one vote that they could ban one map. So very often what was happening is that horrible maps like Favela, that is completely my opinion, Favela, Outback, or any other maps that people didn't like were absolutely not played in this game, or very rarely if there was some miscommunication between the teams, because what was happening is that in the beginning of the match, when we would see the maps displayed in the map ban phase, there would be like communication between the teams in the text chat where, oh, okay, so for example, we are banning Emerald Plains, you ban Favela, and we're playing Cafe. Sounds cool? Cool. And I don't think that was a problem. Some people saw it as a problem, so Ubisoft decided to increase it to 5 maps instead of 3. Each team still has 1 map ban per to use, so each team bans 1 map or not, and the map is randomly chosen from the remaining ones. this definitely increased the how often certain maps are played. I don't know if this changes for the better. I'm not a particular fan of certain maps, and I try to avoid them as much as possible, but it definitely served its purpose that they were trying to do. Tactical map, they changed tactical map, so now you can see while in the pick phase, you can see what are possible bomb sites. So, for example, if they won, you would see it crossed out, and you would see the list of the remaining ones that they could do. And the floor map and objectives will be displayed when they are discovered by the attacking team. So, for example, on the drone, if you find the bomb site, it will display on everybody's middle of the screen that the bomb site is second floor and a name of that bomb site. So, for example, again, let's go with border. If I find that it's in Armory, it will display that it's second floor Armory and second floor Archives. So that's definitely okay, because I remember that a lot of times I was just running out in the prep phase, and I might have had my teammates ask me, "Hey, where is the site?" Because they were either not paying attention or something. Another thing is standard, which is the operator price reduction. So since now we're on season 3, each operator from past years from season 3 has been reduced. So Amaru and Goyo are now 10,000 renown or 240 R6 credits. Zero from year 5 season 3 is getting reduced to 15,000 renown. Osa will be reduced to 20,000 renown. That's okay. Bringing those prices down is something that is very useful, especially for the newer players that are trying to gather as much operators as possible to increase the variability of what they want or can play. So those price reductions are always nice to see. Another thing is the seasonal weapon skin, which costs, I think the bundle costs as always 45 or 50,000 renown. It's okay. I'm not a fan of the skin, but if somebody likes it, then they can do it. And another thing is, of course, the operator balancing. They added Gon 6 to Buck and Capital, which is okay. Gun 6 is a pretty useful tool for getting rid of those bulletproof cameras, bulletproof shields, castle barricades, and so on, in order to finally nerf Finka. After they nerfed the LMGs, which was, well, her main weapon, they're also removing frag grenades to decrease, how to say that, to decrease the amount of power that she could bring, because before last season, what was happening with Finka? Finka was being, I think she was off the charts. I'll show the chart right now on the screen, which shows how often operators were picked and how often were they winning. As you can see, she was basically off the charts because she could bring so much as one operator, and it was crazy because she has had a very powerful gun, LMG, 100 bullets, pretty okay damage. Then she had also Gun 6, and I think still has a Gun 6, which, well, can get rid of bulletproof shields, bulletproof cameras, castle barricades, etc. And then she also had 2 frag grenades, which she could use to clear out positions or clear out gadgets. And on top of that, she also had a global heal, so she could heal the whole team plus herself by 30 HP. And she could also revive people from the other side of the map. So let's say your teammates were very clumsy. All 4 of them fell off the roof. You can just press one button and they will be all automatically picked up with 30 HP. So that operator had a definitely overloaded kit, as we call it, which means that she can bring a lot by just being one operator, which is very not good for the balance. In that place, she has been replaced with smoke grenades. That's okay. Still brings a bit of value for the team, because you can smoke out cross some lines of sight and help your team. But it's definitely It's definitely a nerf. Fuse cluster charge drilling time has been reduced 2 seconds. I think it was a bit too long because what was happening is that I could literally move back, take a look where it is drilling, and shoot it once it drills through the reinforcements. So it gave me a lot of time to see what's the situation and adapt to it. They also, which was, well, not like, so as soon as people realized that it's a bit too long, I didn't see that they were using it. They increased the visibility of pellet trails. It helps a bit with seeing where the pellets go. Not by much, because in the heat of battle, well, everything is happening at the same time, so you can miss those. So that's why they increased it, but I don't know. They also added smoke grenades to fuse. It's an okay option. I think they're trying to maybe increase this win delta a bit by all those changes, but we'll see. We'll see with what happens at the end of the season if it's increased or not. They also added claymores to glass. That's an okay option. I don't think that anyone will use it actually, because he has nades and smokes, if I remember correctly. And, well, smoke grenades are very useful for glass, so because that's what actually his main ability is based on. For Yana, they removed Con 6, which also is not listed, is that they removed some scopes and added some scopes to certain operator and certain guns on their operators. It's not listed here, but Yana's been used as a really good entry fragger because she had a really nice gun with a 1.5 scope, which is a very good option if you want the balance between short and a bit longer range. And on top of that, she has nades and had Gun 6, which helped to her to rush a bit. So that's been removed. They increased the amount of Kali charges to 4. It's an okay option. She is still a bit situational because you cannot use her that often. It is possible, but there are better operators that can do that job. They reduced the vertical and horizontal recoil, and camera recovery time has been increased to ensure smoother side movement. So that's an attempt to like increase her gun pick rate and, well, her pick rate at the same time, because due to the fact that the sniper rifle is slow, it's not really well fit for the nature of Siege, which is slow tactical gameplay, but as soon as the gunfight starts, it becomes a very fast gameplay. So it wasn't really a very well fit into this gameplay, so I think what they're trying to do now is to try and make it so that you can use it a bit faster. Maverick has been nerfed with removing the frag grenades and so replacing those with flashes. That's the same reason with what happened to Finke, is that Maverick could clear out a lot by himself, and I think that's what they're trying to do, is to just decrease that a bit. And other things are tweaks and improvements, which is the heartbeat charge activation is reduced to 4 seconds from 5. That's okay because the 5 seconds was slightly too long. For 4 seconds, I think that's where it's okay, because it gives the time to defenders to realize what the situation is, but it's not long enough so that you don't have a situation where you start breaching, and once you finish up and the wall breaches, you have already 5 people aiming down the hole at your head. So that's definitely a nice change. They reduced, and this is what I was talking about earlier, they nerfed the frag grenades so that the range is much smaller. The minimum damage taken was reduced by 1.4 meter. That's a lot, because before you had to just throw the grenade in general direction and you would inflict some damage. Now you have to be a bit more precise. But this plus nading from below, which already was taking up some damage, now made it so that when you're nading from below, you have to be like at least 90% accurate in your throwing to inflict either serious damage or to eliminate the opponent. The maximum damage was reduced to 2 meters, so that's also a pretty big change. And this is what I was touching on a few seconds ago, which is the weapon sight changes. So that Capital got a 2.0 scope, Blackbeard got a 2.0 scope, Yana G36 got a 1.5, Frost got back hair 1.5, UMP got a 1.5, Goyo Vector got a 1.5, and I think some people remember what was happening with Mira 1.5 when they first introduced the new sights a whole year ago. They removed the 2.0 scope from Ace as he was a really good frag operator. He still is in the Pro League and in general, especially that they gave a 1.5 scope, which is a really nice balance between short and medium to long range. Yana lost her 1.5, which I just mentioned. MP5K on both Mute and Wame were lost. Nomads lost her 2.5 scope on the ARX but gained the 1.5. I'm pretty happy with that. I haven't really used the 2.5 since they introduced new scopes. Same goes for Sledge, they removed the 2.5. Cade Og, they removed the 1.5 scope from him. I'm not really sure what was the reasoning behind this change, but it's okay. Fenka ACOG has been removed. They added the 2.0, but trust me, you're not really going to be using the LMGs anymore, unless they realize that they nerfed it to Oblivion and they will try to buff it up somehow by maybe reducing the amount of horizontal recoil to make it really hard to control but still doable, because at this point it's absolutely not doable at all. And that's I think that's a problem, because they just decided to completely nuke it so that nobody uses it. I think these should be still usable to a certain degree. Definitely not to a degree they were usable before. But yeah, I think that they should reduce the horizontal recoil just a tiny bit, so that's a bit more usable. Still hard to control, but a bit more usable. And they decided to also add all scopes up until the maximum point to operators. So for example, now you have the G8 1.5, you have 1.5 on the Spear, you have 1.5 on AK-12, you have 1.5 on TCSG, 2.0 scope on Hibana's main gun, Jackal C7E got a 1.5, a lot of guns got a 1.5, and I'm pretty happy with that because I really like that scope. They also added the 1.5 to Zofia, which is a really nice addition. Flash hiders have been removed from the DMRs, and it has been added to the Frost's gun. That's okay. Extended barrel has been added to guns. Muzzle brakes have been added to guns. Compensator have been added to all of the guns. This is also a big change, that they removed the damage penalty that the suppressor would give. So, for example, before, if I remember correctly, P90 has 26 or 25 damage per bullet, and if you would slap a suppressor onto that, you would suddenly have 19 damage per bullet, which increased the time to kill. And really, there was no use for suppressors. The only times people were using suppressors was when they would have a weekly or other type of challenge for the battle pass, and they would just slap the suppressor on temporarily, get the necessary eliminations with suppressor on, and move back to their preferred attachment, which is most likely a flash hider, as it helps with the vertical recoil, especially now. Vertical grips have been added to some guns, so for example to Nomad's ARX, which is a really nice change because I have no clue why it wasn't included before. To Frost's gun, it isn't really necessary because that gun is a laser anyway, but with the vertical grip, it's even better laser. It's easier to control. T5 also got a vertical grip, so it's a nice addition. Angled grips have been added, but looking at how high the recoil is, I don't think a lot of people will use it because the angled grip doesn't really help with the vertical recoil, but it only decreases the ADS time. So I wouldn't see much use of angled grip, especially on guns like, wait, where is it? Yeah, like for example SMG-11. It's with flash hider and vertical grip. This gun is already a very high recoil, and why would you want to decrease it with angled grip? I have no clue. Lasers have been added, so that's also okay. They updated the HUD. That's okay. Never really looked at the compass besides for when I sometimes wanted to call out, okay, there was one guy in the southwest corner of stock or whatever, to give a more specified call out when I don't remember the exact name for it, which sometimes happens. Report system. Players who have disconnected from the session can now be reported. That's nice. You can report players from match replay. That's been mentioned earlier. They added Stadium to ranked, or rather all playlists. For some reason, they removed Bartlett University from custom games. I have no clue why would they do that, but okay, I guess. They changed the newcomer bomb sites according to the latest ranked data. So how it works in newcomer is that you have one site being played for the whole match. So that is, for example, you start a newcomer match, you join up on Oregon, and for the whole match, only one bomb site of, for example, let's go basement, is going to be played because that's one of the most played bomb sites on ranked. They increased the time of team deathmatch to 7.5 minutes and increased the kill count to 90. I think they're trying to make it more make it appeal better to players, because after they introduced the team deathmatch, nobody was really playing it. Some people, yeah, but sometimes you are waiting, for example, for 6-7 minutes to just get one match of team deathmatch. So waiting 7 minutes just to warm up, you can do it in T-Hunt or in the shooting range. So there was really no need. Team deathmatch is always it's a good tool. For example, if you're struggling with fast gunplay, you can just hop on and try to get to know what's around you, try to know where people could come from on certain maps. But besides that, I don't see any use of that playlist. Then there are, of course, the bug fixes. I don't know if what kind of bugs they fixed, because there are, of course, new ones, but that's a big topic. As for now, that will be all from my side, and I will see you in the next video.